and gentlemen, welcome back to the Think About It channel. Today we're doing another episode of Rehearsal, where we interview performers, theater people. Today we have somebody very near and dear to my heart, Mrs. Debbie Jenkins. Hey,
Hey, how are ya?
I'm great. Debbie holds a degree in vocal performance from the Jacobs School of Music and has been working in the performing arts industry for the last 30 years as a teacher, performer, director, and producer. She started very young. She's only 41. She holds a distinguished alumni degree from the Indiana University Singing Hoosiers for her work in the arts and her dedication to creating artistic and musical experiences for all people in her communities. Currently, she's teaching. She's a teaching artist for the Constellation Stage and a screen director for the Constellation Singers, and is a local music director in Indiana. She is also the mastermind behind Debby Does. I didn't write most of that. I'll be honest, I didn't write most of that. I think you probably wrote most of that somewhere, and I just stole it off the internet.
I was like, that's a pretty recent
Yeah,
bio. Like, I think I
yeah.
might have written that last week for somebody.
When I do my research, I try to do some research on this channel, and who better to say it than the person who's doing it herself? But it's a good picture. It's a good picture.
It's an oldie. I'm not rocking the pixie cut anymore, but I don't know. It could come back.
You could bring
It could,
it back. You could rock it.
you know.
So outside of the little paragraph I just talked about, what is some of your background?
So both my parents were singers. My mom sang with the USO. She toured Europe with them. Music was like constantly in my house, whatever. And I just don't, there was really I never really thought about it. I just always knew I was going to be a singer. That was going to be what I did. Um, Much to the chagrin of my high school AP English teacher, who said to me, Indiana, you could have gone to an Ivy. So I went to a Big Ten school, woohoo, Hoosiers. And I came to Indiana, and it was not I'm going to be honest, it was not a great experience. I struggled finding a voice teacher and everything. But in the end, the things that happened here at IU really made me love it and value it. I was a member of this group called the Singing Hoosiers. It changed my life. We just had our 75th anniversary with them over the weekend, and after college, I moved back to New Jersey, but I don't know. Bloomington, Indiana always felt like home. So last May, we packed up everything, sold all the things we owned, and we moved to Bloomington, Indiana. They call that bloomeranging here.
Oh, they
Mhm.
have a whole term for it. That's
We have
crazy.
bloomeranged. Many people do it.
Bloomeranged. I love that. Well, you were also bloomeranging down in Florida for a little bit, weren't you?
We really thought we were going to retire in Florida. And then Hurricane Ian shook some sense into us. And
Hmm.
we just decided we couldn't live like that. So we sold our house in Florida. We sold our house in New Jersey, and we packed up and moved out here.
Trading in hurricanes for hail and tornadoes, like you were just telling me a minute ago.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's a very different thing. Hurricanes you watch for days and days and days. Tornadoes, it's like you're asleep and it's like, wah, and you're like, oh, downstairs, everybody downstairs, and then it's over.
So your background is in theater, but you are also a pageant person.
I know, it's my dirty secret. Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. And people who sort of know me in different ways are always like, how did that happen? It comes from a little spot in my childhood. My dad, who I didn't really have much of a relationship with, but he was the president of the JCs, which is a service organization, and they ran the Miss Ocean City pageant. And so I was always there, and there was just something about that crown where I was like, I
Hmm.
want a crown. Crowns are
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
And so kind of later on, I was like, I'm going to do pageants. And so I did. But I was at the end of the age time. You age out at that time at 24. Aging out of something at 24 blows my mind. But
Like
so I
healthcare.
did, yeah, it right, exactly. So I was Miss Cape May County in 1993 and fourth runner up to Miss New Jersey, and then I was top 10 at Miss New Jersey one other year. It was a time. And what I'll say is this: I can talk to anyone. I can sit down and I can interview for a job that I'm not qualified for and make it to the final two. Um, but I always think about pageants. This is going to sound really silly, as sort of like a finishing school. Like, you learn to get dressed, you learn to talk to people, you learn to be a certain way. And for me, I just wanted to sing a lot of places and get rid of any kind of like stage fright I might have had. And I made some really good friends. I had some fun stories. It'll be a great chapter in my memoirs. But I will tell you, that getting up in front of people and allowing them to judge you in the way that it was at the time,
Hmm.
it probably sat in my psyche a little bit more
Hmm.
than I thought it did. But
Hmm.
my crowns are sparkly, and it was a thing I did.
Did any of that work overlap into theater for you at all? Did you take anything from your pageant days into your theater days?
Um, I hope not, because my theater days, I hope, were made of something much more authentic. I was never myself in pageants. I was always what I thought I was supposed to be, the
Hmm.
perfect pageant. And so I I don't think it did. I think for me, like the acting thing, what I do on stage as a singer and as a performer is something far more organic, and
Hmm.
it truly comes from a place of character and all the things that you do as an actor. Pageants, I should say that pageants were an acting role.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but not. I wasn't Debbie Jenkins.
No, I hear that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a minute ago that you were always sort of around music, always sort of around theater. Was there like one defining moment where it was like, I know for sure now this is what I'm doing, or was it always just sort of like, this is what I'm doing?
No, I mean, I always sang, but like I did a lot of things begrudgingly. Like my mom made me join like the church choir at like 5 or 6 years old, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then she made me practice the piano. I was like, I'm never going to use this. By the way, used it every day, every day. I mean, I did say the same thing about geometry, and that did come true. But the piano every day. Um, But when I was 15 years old, 16 years old, my mom sent me 2 summers to a camp called Lutheran Summer Music Camp. My mom was Lutheran. She had gone to a Lutheran college, and it was a music camp for a month at a school in the Midwest. And it was, you left home and you spent a month there. And the second year that I was there, I was chosen to sing in the honors recital. And I finished singing, and people just went nuts. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is addictive. And it felt so good. Like just the joy of it and making beautiful music was just so, I don't know. It was incredible. And that was it. I was like, that's it. And I just went hardcore at that point.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. And I used to have it on a cassette tape, but it burned in the fire at our storage unit.
Ooh.
Whole other story.
We can explain cassette tapes to people later. You know, we can do that in a different
Not
episode.
an 8 track or a reel to reel, thank God.
So when did teaching come into play?
So I never wanted to be a teacher. My mom was an English teacher for 40 years, the grammar goddess, and I did not want to be a teacher. My mom wanted me to be a teacher, but I did not. So in 1998, the summer of 98, I was doing 13 weeks of Showboat, the musical in Philadelphia, playing Magnolia. And it was just a great experience. And I felt amazing about it. And that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to keep doing that. But my contract ended on a Sunday, and the woman who was the choral director at Middle Township High School, Gladys Lauriello, was becoming a vice principal there. And so they had a long-term sub position open, and everybody's like, you'd be crazy not to do it. Just jump in. So the Monday after the show closed, Sunday afternoon, the show closed, Monday, I show up teaching high school. And I maintained that it was temporary. I got hired full time. And I was always looking kind of like to get out initially. I mean, I loved what I was doing, but I was like, I'm not doing this for 40 years. Which I do think is the great conundrum now for young teachers.
The
What's
problem we have,
sustainable?
we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's hard. But in 2000 and I want to say 2002, I directed West Side Story. And I was sitting in the back of the auditorium. I tell this story all the time because it was so profound for me. And the audience jumped to their feet with a standing ovation for the kids. And I thought, this is way better than any applause I ever got for myself. And I was hooked. And
That's
I still am.
that's great, and it leads perfectly into our next question here. Is it's sort of a two-part question. So, what's one of your favorite moments as strictly a vocal teacher, and then one as specifically a high school musical director? Because you say a lot of the
So
same things, but there's a lot of overlap there, but there's also not overlap there.
Yeah, it's hard. I had so many, there were so many great moments, but um I had a group. We paired up with a community choir and sang Antonio Vivaldi's Gloria, and it was one of those moments where like you saw kids learn something that was really probably beyond them. And I found this a lot about my students, that I set expectations that were ridiculous, and they not only met them but exceeded them. And it's not that it surprised me, but it was really validating. So having them come together with a grown-up group, an adult group, and be able to like hold their own um, was incredible. But I mean, every year there was something magic, even in groups that maybe weren't high achieving, there was something, because I'm a person who's all about the process and how we get there. The final product, whatever, it's fine. I want to know how we got there. So I taking the journey every year was always the joy of that for me. Like I don't really love the concert.
Hmm.
I want to do like the rehearsal. That to me is like the
Hmm.
fun part, the nitty gritty. So watching kids exceed their expectations and do things they never thought they could do, to me is like, I mean, come on, that's the gift of
Awesome.
teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
What about on a more personal side, your career as a performer and as a director outside of school? Do you have a favorite highlight or moment there?
Wow. I mean, I've gotten to do some pretty cool things. That production of Showboat, the power went out in Act One, and I hadn't even gotten on stage yet, and they made us go outside and whatever. And we were union members, so Actors Equity, and then if it gets to a half an hour, they can let you leave. And it was our last performance, and we were very close as a cast. And there were a few things in the theater that worked. The spotlight worked, and a couple microphones, and we were all like, "No, we're not ready to leave each other." And so we all went back in, and the audience came back in. No air conditioning, no nothing, no bells, no whistles. And we sat on the stage together. And if you know Showboat, there's a lot of like racial issues in the show. And it was very like just integrated the cast. We weren't separated like we were in the show. We sat together, we held hands, and we did the show in concert for our audience.
That's awesome.
And I don't know that I've ever had a greater experience. I mean, it was everything that it's supposed to be without anything extra. And
That's
it was that pure magic.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so you've now directed all kinds of different people in all kinds of places,
Yeah.
doing all kinds of things. What is your approach in working with? You said before we got on here that you're working with like a elementary school group. So what's your approach with that clientele versus your high school kids versus your adults?
It's the same. You have to be consistent. You have to have a plan. You have to have a schedule, and you have to keep people moving forward all the time. You can't get bogged down in like little tiny teeny things. Like those are not the things that are making up the whole tapestry. We have to get through things, because otherwise people get bogged down in minutia, and there's just literally no time for it on a schedule like that. For me, I like everything I do to be ready more than a week ahead of time, so that if something happens, you can fix it, especially with theater. Like, I
Mhm.
don't want to be learning anything new during tech week. That's not my rehearsal time anymore. That's for all the other stuff. I needed to be finished my job a week earlier.
Yeah.
And so I am incredibly efficient. Um, Sometimes I'm not super touchy feely and about the magic and the whatever. Sometimes I'm just like, people, it's a job. Let's get it done. But that's for me what has always worked.
Mhm.
And people are always prepared to do what they need to do.
Speaking of getting a job done, you and your husband Jim, a while back, were running the Gateway Playhouse in Summers Point, New Jersey.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because not only are you now performing, but you're sort of doing the business side of it too.
Well, that was a long journey. My husband Jim was the chairman of the nonprofit that raised the money to renovate and reopen the Gateway for 17 years. It was a long, no one should be chairman of the board for that long. Anyway, so the city owned the building, and they basically said, it's your responsibility to raise the money, fix it, reopen it. And that's what happened in 2017. And Jim stepped down at the end of 2023, and they are moving forward and doing great things. But it was a labor of love of so many people and very grassroots.
Hmm.
And again, like we just did things happened that should never happen to a bunch of little ragtag people just trying to open a little community theater space, and
Hmm.
um, but it was very gratifying. It was also exhausting. And it's sort of nice to be able to step away from it and just let someone else take it and watch what it does next.
Yes. You're on a new venture now. I don't know what exactly you call it or how you would classify it.
Me
Um,
neither.
but you have a platform called Debbie Does, where you talk about things that you does. It's sort of like a vlog, but it's not like a vlog because there's all kinds of stuff on there. It's really interesting. It's not just like one defined thing. So how did you do your does?
I don't really know. Honestly, I was like, I think I want to do this thing. And we kind of set it up. And a lot of people were like, oh, I want to read more of what you write. But what I found is really, I don't know that any of that was true. But I do blog at WordPress at debbiedoes.com. And then I have a Facebook page and Instagram for it. Um, I realized that honestly, I like to do so many things. And I like to talk about so many things and whatever that I'm having trouble focusing. But food is generally a big part of it because I love to cook. I'm writing a book about pies. I love to call out, like bullshit. Uh, so it's a little bit of everything. But I like to talk to people and I like to interact with people in different ways. And, I know that it needs to focus a little bit, but I'm also, I feel like I would do great with more video content, but I'm not a great editor. And it seems like it takes a lot of time and I'm not sure I have it
I hear that.
or the skill set, but it could get there. Who knows?
Yeah. And it's a fun follow. I mean, there are a lot of recipes, a lot of delicious foods, a lot of beautiful Indiana landscape I've seen. And I've seen several birds, a lot of bird watching.
Very into the birds.
Yes. A lot of
Very into.
very interesting birds. And the commentary that comes with the birds as well is top notch. Top
Thanks.
notch. Yes, it's very entertaining.
I
Uh,
should probably just taste more potato chips or something in a video, but I can't. I don't know. It's like I just can't get myself focused there.
whatever you does is good.
Well, thank you.
Debbie's doing good does.
Well, that all came out of as a child of the 70s. There was a movie called Debbie Does Dallas, and it was a movie of ill repute. And people made fun of me my whole life for that movie. And the one thing that I don't do as a Philadelphia Eagles fan is I don't do
We don't
Dallas.
do Dallas. Go birds.
Go Birds.
Yeah, go birds. So I got like one sort of fun one here. Well, hopefully it's a fun one. And then sort of like one more thing to wrap it up. So, being a person that has indulged in many musicals, do you have one, and this could be a hot take, do you have one that in your opinion, is overrated and one in your opinion that is underrated?
Oh, I got this. So I believe that Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera is overrated. I'm going to take some crap for that. I know that. And I believe that the Copit Yeston Phantom is underrated.
Okay. Hot takes. Hot
Hmm.
takes.
Yeah.
So to sort of wrap it up, to put a nice little feel good bow on top of our time here, um, if there are students watching this or theater enthusiasts watching this and they're thinking to themselves, how do I do what Debbie does? Pun intended. What advice would you give them in pursuing their theatrical dreams?
Get accustomed to rejection. It is I don't know what the percentage is, 95, 98% of it. Um, be willing to work harder than everyone else. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You could be born with great gifts, but if you don't use them, someone will pass you on that race. Hard work will pass talent every single time. You can't sit back and think that you're just supremely gifted. Someone else is going to pass you. And honestly, you have to be the kind of person, I wasn't really this person. You have to be the kind of person who can live a life where you don't know what's next. I can't do that. I'm a list maker, and I got a plan, for 2 weeks out in advance or 6 months or whatever. So I think that that's, I mean, and if you don't love it, don't do it. Don't do it as a default. You've got to do it as like, I can't live without doing this, because so many people want to do it, and it's hard, and you've got to want it more than anything, and you've got to be willing to work for it.
That's great advice. Fantastic advice.
I didn't follow it, but it's good advice for other people.
I want to thank you for taking your time. We're recording this actually pretty late for the people at home that don't know. This is pretty late.
Hey,
Because
this is uber late.
Debbie does a lot of things, so we have to find time to squeeze me in. Um, but we'll
Debbie,
definitely
let's go to bed about 9 o'clock.
yes. And it's a little past that now.
I know.
Um, but I do want to thank you for taking the time to come on and talk about not only your theater experience, but what you are doing now. And we'll be sure to plug the Debbie Does links in the description below.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being a wonderful teacher, writer, and man about town.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
I love it. I love the hustle.
Have a great one.
Me too. Bye.